health and medicine.
Yes.
Okay, we've got representatives from both, so I'll just let them introduce themselves.
So my name is Tyler Swanson, and I serve as the Assistant Director of Admissions for the Medical Sciences program, which is housed in the College of Medicine.
And my name is Kelsey Hulza. I'm the admissions counselor for the College of Allied Health Sciences.
Great, thank you for coming today.
Thanks for having
So
us.
it's 9 in the morning. We're waking up, talking about Starbucks, but first we'll be talking about our colleges. So just a little bit about the admissions process. I'm sure that our students are curious about it, in particular our undergraduate process. So if you don't mind just giving us a rundown of what that looks like for students.
Yeah, and I think our processes, for the most part, are the same, and so feel free to correct me for anything if I'm wrong. So students will apply through the common application that typically opens in about early August. I know for at least for medical sciences, we have the one major, and when you apply, you'll have to apply, excuse me, by December 1st, and then you'll want to make sure you put medical sciences as your first choice major, which will get you reviewed for the medical sciences program.
Awesome. So like Tyler said, the application opens August 1st. We have an early action deadline of December 1st, so that will get you eligible for academic scholarships as well as consideration for the University Honors Program. In terms of kind of what we look for when we review applications, I'm going to look at test scores, I'm going to look at GPA, I'm going to look at math and science grades to see, if you have a, D- in chemistry, that's a little bit of a red flag to us. So I'm going to look at those grades. I'm going to look at your extracurricular activities. The two major things that we look for, leadership as well as volunteerism. So leadership, you are going to be the healthcare provider in charge. So we want to see that you've had the opportunity to kind of explore that at the high school level. And then for volunteering, it doesn't necessarily have to be within a healthcare-based setting, although we love when it is. We also know that that's really challenging for some high school students. So we want to see that you've had the opportunity to do some volunteer work at the high school level so you can start to gain that empathy skill that you need as a healthcare provider.
And piggyback, I probably should have mentioned that. Small things. So for the medical sciences applications, ACT scores, SAT, those types of things, we definitely do look for some of those hospital experiences in the hospital setting. Even for our program, even if you don't have that is also perfectly fine. Essays, one of the things I often stress to students is that your essay doesn't necessarily have to be about why you want to be a doctor or why you want to be a DO or different things of that nature. We look for, that's the human part of your application, and so we really want you to be your authentic self. And so we tell students that, in your essay, tell us something that we won't know about you based on everything else in your application. Same with us for extracurriculars. We really want to see that you've taken on some leadership roles, you've done some volunteering. If you've shadowed a doctor, great, fantastic, awesome. If not, that is also perfectly fine. We really just want to know what you've been involved in because we really want to know what you're going to bring to the medical sciences community and the UC community as well.
You have any examples of great essays that you've read this past application season?
Ooh, good question.
We can come back to it.
I'm trying to think. There was one, I always find it really interesting when students talk about the research that they've had the opportunity to participate in. That comes kind of very few and far between, but it's really interesting when I get to read about that because typically it's a little over my head. But it's really cool to read about, the medical advances that these, 16, 17, 18-year-old students are able to help with, partnering with various hospitals and whatnot. So I always love those.
Yeah.
I think one that actually came to mind was one I was read this year. A student had some health issues in the past, and so it kind of prevented. She actually ended up having to take about a year off of school. But one of the things that was so amazing is that even though she took that year off of school, she still did very, very well in her academics, ACT and GPA, but she comes from a very rural community where the nearest hospital is maybe 15, 20 miles away. And so she found our program, and one of the things that she talked about in her essay is that she wants to be able to, get her MD and all those other wonderful things and go back and start a clinic within her community. And just like reading her story, I'm a little bit of an emotional person, so I got a little misty eyed. But it was really awesome because it was just so much endurance and so much what we call grit in the world of admissions. It was really inspiring to me, and so we were super excited to have her join our program because we were excited to be a part of her journey. But those essays are some of the ones, even as Kelsey said, the type of research some students have already done up until this point, which I know I'll never achieve, is really amazing to us.
Yeah, that sounds amazing to read about. So in terms of international applicants, obviously that's our focus, but I know there are some parameters with those specific applications. Do you have any advice for those students, like how they can maybe stand out or what routes they might be able to take that would be a little bit easier for an international student?
I think, at least for MedSci, I think our application process is the same. And so there's not too many things that will change as far as the application process itself. Now, I often tell students who are international students is that I know the U.S. I know for some medical schools may not accept international students, but I will say, at least for our program and things that we offer, I think we give students a broad variety of information and a broad variety of pathways and options. And so even if MD as a medical doctor doesn't end up working out, there are still multiple healthcare fields in which students within my medical sciences and even allied health that students can go into. And so I think, and I'm a little out of the international admissions game application, but I believe that application is still the same. And there's not too much of a difference, but I always tell students, just bring your authentic self to the table when you apply, because those are going to be things that we're really going to look for. And we do actually have a couple of international students within our program. And like I said, just when you apply, just make sure you bring your entire self to the table and talk about your experiences.
I think the major thing, and I'm sure this is the same case for you, I think the major thing that I look for in any applicant is exploration of the major. So, have you done your homework? Have you put some time into, if you want to become a doctor or a physical therapist, have you done the research to see, if that's something that is truly interesting to you. We don't have too many international students within our college at this point. However, I know with this kind of admission cycle, so for our high school seniors, our admitted class has 14 countries represented. So we're really excited about that.
Great.
So we're hoping to kind of bolster those numbers soon.
Yeah. And just to clarify, you guys are on a different campus, which is not UC main campus. Could you talk a little bit about that particular area? And is it close to main campus? What is it like over there?
Yeah. So we are located on UC's medical campus or academic health center. It's diagonally across the street, so it's really not too far from my office to Nippert Stadium, which is pretty much the center of Uptown or main campus. Walking, it takes me 14 minutes, so it's not too terribly far. Certainly within bird scootering distance. But on the medical campus, we have the College of Medicine, the College of Allied Health Sciences, the College of Pharmacy, as well as the College of Nursing. And then we have 3 hospitals on the medical campus. We have UC Hospital, Cincinnati Children's Hospital, as well as the Veterans Hospital. So we've got, it's a good place to be for our students who are thinking, something in the medical field.
And I often, and so even when students and parents come to learn more about medical sciences, there are food options over on the medical side of campus. And so I know there's a Chipotle. It's not always good, but McDonald's is over there as well. And also the UC Hospital has a cafeteria in it that students will often go to. And so it's still a nice, and students often ask, do they feel disconnected from main campus when they're over on the medical campus, which also known as East Campus. And a lot of students say no. They end up bouncing back and forth between main and med campus. And a lot of our students are still involved in organizations that are based out of main campus. And so they're still going over there in the evenings and things of that nature. So our students actually are part of a intramural sport called they're called the Metsai Ballers.
Medside Ballers.
Yeah, they've won one game in 4 years. And so they're still very actively involved, a part of the main campus community. It's just that a lot of their classes and their advising offices are over on the Met campus. But as Kelsey said, it's not too far of a walk, scooter, drive, or whatever else. But students, shuttle, yes.
Yeah.
And students still really enjoy that experience.
Cool. Speaking of organizations, I guess, are there any others that students in your colleges are particularly enthused about or participatory in?
Yeah, so for medical sciences, a lot of our students, so many. So I know Globe Med is one that a lot of our students are involved in. Bearcat Buddies is an organization. A number of our students are involved in the Student Activities Board and Student Activities Council. Each academic college has a student government, and so our students are also very heavily involved in student government. But those will probably be the 5 biggest that our students within medical science are involved in.
We have about 20, depending on the year. So we have at least one student organization per major. So we have 6 majors within the College of Allied Health Sciences. So we have 1 per major. We have college-specific organizations like Student Tribunal or Student Government. We also have our student ambassadors who are kind of the face of our college. And then we also have student organizations that started within the College of Allied Health Sciences but are now university-wide. So UC Fit for Life is a good example. You know, not just those students within the College of Allied Health Sciences want to lead healthy, happy lifestyles. Hopefully everybody does. So it started within that college, our college, and then is now university-wide.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So I heard you say December 1st is your deadline. Do you also accept spring and summer applicants, or is it always a fall application?
So I know for us, for first-year students, for medical sciences, December 1st is our cutoff. And so once they go through the admission cycle and they start at UC, we actually will take transition and transfer students on a case-by-case basis, fall, spring, and summer.
Okay, so you can transfer in
Yes.
at any time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and for us, it kind of depends on the major. So for, at least for this application cycle, December 1st was our cutoff for our health sciences pre-med as well as health sciences pre-physician's assistant applicants, but we also do have that March 1 regular decision deadline that students can apply by. And then, kind of like Tyler said, we accept transfer transition students in both the fall and the spring, but not typically the summer. We don't have that many classes over the summer.
Okay, that's great. Is there any other advice that you would give international applicants for how to stand out on their application?
I think, as Tyler said, be your true authentic self. That's really, the college application, that's our only way of getting to know our students. And so, writing about, yourself and being reflective is a lot more important and exciting than, an applicant writing about their grandma, because, that might be great, but I want to meet her then, I want to hear more, I want to hear more about the applicant themselves.
Right. And do you guys have scholarships that are associated with your colleges that you give to students, high achieving students?
I know medical sciences, we do not, unfortunately.
Okay.
We do. We have just 2 college-specific scholarships, one for nutrition and dietetics students, and then one for college-wide. And it truly just depends on the year, how we dole out those scholarships. I, unfortunately, am not a part of that committee, because if I were, our college would not have any money.
Too generous.
So, yeah.
Well, that's great. Are there study abroad opportunities, experience-based learning opportunities that you can think of that your students typically will do?
So I know our students, a good majority of our students will often pick up a Spanish minor, and a number of our students, there is a study abroad trip to Madrid that I believe will help them get with some of their help them with some of their credits for that minor. One of our faculty members in our program leads 2 study abroads, and so one of them is in the fall, and they take students to France for 10 days after the semester is over, And then there's the new one this spring where students are taken to, I believe it is Italy. And so those are actually tied to classes and things of that nature. And so there's like a class they take that entire semester. Then at the end of the semester, they will end up going to France in the fall and Italy in the spring.
That's great.
Can we go? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I've been trying to go to France since I've been working here.
So within the College of Allied Health Sciences, students are more than welcome to study abroad for that kind of typical semester. But in terms of study abroad opportunities within our college specifically, we have several service learning trips that go abroad. So we have several that go to Central and South America during breaks. So the next upcoming one, they're going to Jamaica, I believe. Right after graduation, they'll be there for 8 days, and they do kind of just a pop-up clinic. Mm-hmm. And so within that 8-day time span, they see about 1,200 patients.
Wow.
So trips like that are really popular for our students. But then we also have, depending on the major, we have faculty members that take primarily our graduate students to Africa to test hearing on elephants and jaguars and all of the really big animals that scare me.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
That's a great opportunity. But would you say that there's a lot of like research opportunities or volunteer opportunities in the area for if students wanted to stay in Cincinnati and do those experiences?
Yeah, so for medical sciences, we have a class. It's the service learning research rotation that students can take, which is led by Dr. Askew and Fran Larkin. And essentially what ends up happening is that they partner with the community engagement office here on main campus, and essentially they find different, what's the word I'm looking for? Different, there's a word that's out there.
Healthcare based?
Yes, healthcare based. There's healthcare based, and then there are community partners that the university partners with, where our students can essentially go there and they do a project, and then it's very reflective in which students, and those are type of things that postgraduate or post-undergrad graduate programs are things that look for when students are applying to those different types of programs. And so there is a great partnership there. And the other beauty about it is that students are able to earn class credit for it. And so it counts towards, and so students are required to take 25 credit hours of medical sciences electives, and those that service learning and research rotation will actually count towards those medical sciences electives for students. And so it's kind of you're getting class credit, but you're also partnering with community organizations that you want to be a part of and work with a specific population. And so students really enjoy those opportunities.
That sounds great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So within the College of Allied Health Sciences, first year students are asked to take a course called Success in Allied Health, both their fall and spring semester of their first year. In their spring semester, so the semester in right now, they're asked to do at least 24 hours of community service. And so they work primarily with their faculty mentor that they're paired with to kind of find that volunteer opportunity within kind of something that seems interesting to them. So for our pre-med students, pre-PT or occupational therapy students, we typically like to have them in a hospital setting. Whereas some of our, communication sciences and disorders students, they tend to, want to be in classrooms, work with Bearcat buddies, and things like that. So we try to get that service learning, because service learning is really huge within our college. So we try to get that started within their first year through that success course. And then they typically just keep on going through their 4 years. But through that as well, they, will develop relationships with the doctors that are in, the OR setting where they're volunteering. So they'll start networking within kind of those healthcare-based settings. And we have a lot of students that, will network their way into, helping with research and, being co-authors on papers and whatnot. So.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. One last thing that I had about applications that I had forgotten to touch on. Obviously, SAT and ACT are the primary ones for our domestic applicants. Do you also accept like the English language, TOEFL, IELTS, and then the math placement test? Mm-hmm. And if so, is there like do you lean towards the ACT, SAT applicants, or it doesn't matter?
I'd say whichever test score is higher, that's what we want.
Yep.
Okay, great. Great. So you need a test of English and a test of math. And so if you choose not to take the ACT or SAT, it could be a TOEFL, IELTS, another test of English, plus a UC math placement test. So, and are you guys looking at like chemistry or physics, or like what classes do they kind of need to take?
Yeah, so I know one of our curriculum is very science heavy, and so the first 2 years is biology, chemistry, organic chemistry, physics, and so we really want to make sure that our students will be successful when they're in our programs, and so we certainly do look at the science, most of your science-based courses. Those are the ones that we're really definitely looking at. We're not too worried about the math courses as much, but we're definitely your chemistry, your physics, and your biology courses are definitely courses that we're definitely taking a strong look at.
Yeah, and they're certainly not required in order to be admitted into our programs, but we really encourage it, and I'm sure you can back me up. We really encourage it because, you know, those are your building blocks, and you know, that's your foundation. That's, you know, you on the JV, you know, team. Once you get into college, then you're on the varsity level. So we want to see again that you've had that, you know, you've been able to practice that skill. Right. So then once you get to college, you're not completely starting from scratch.
Right.
Good point. I think one last thing for me, I just want to ask you guys personally, like what you like about Cincinnati and the area that you're in and UC. I'm sure you can talk a bit about that.
Well, I'm a little biased, but so I was born and raised in Cincinnati, and UC, there are a lot of fantastic things that are happening at the University of Cincinnati as of right now, and I think this is a really great time to be a part of that. With me being born and raised in Cincinnati, I have some Cincinnati favorites, and so Cincinnati Skyline Chili is absolutely wonderful.
Yes.
Second that.
I was actually in a Skyline commercial, so
Whoa.
you know, it was yes, I'm a little famous. And so,
you'll have to share that with me. I will share that with the world.
And so, but I think, you know, once again, I think UC does a really great job at reaching their hand out, not only to their students, faculty, and staff, but they have such a great presence within the Cincinnati community. And I think that speaks volumes not only about leadership and the initiatives that have been put forth, but I really think that this is a really great time to be a part of the University of Cincinnati. I love the culture here. Everyone's very collaborative. They're very keen about their equity and inclusion. And so I think, you know, it benefits everyone across the board. And I think you'll find that Cincinnati is a very welcoming and inclusive community that welcomes everyone.
I definitely second that. And I'm also from the Cincinnati area, so I'm a little biased as well. The one thing that I really enjoy about the College of Allied Health Sciences, because it's very similar to the College of Medicine, they're both very small colleges. So, you know, the University of Cincinnati as a whole has about 47,000 students, and that can be a little intimidating. So I think the fact that, you know, our average, at least for my college, average class size is 34. That's significantly different than, you know, a 150 student lecture hall. So I love the fact that, you know, our students know their faculty by, you know, first name. They have their cell phone numbers. They have the ability to, you know, call or text them if they're having problems, and yet you're still a part of that large campus-wide community where you can go to a football or basketball game and really have that, you know, camaraderie.
Great. Well, thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Do you think there's anything we've missed, or we've covered it? And would it be all right if we contact you again if we have any further questions?
Please do.
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for watching. Signing out. Have a great day, great night, whatever it is for you.